Hello, welcome to Flory Models. I'm Flory. Hectic week as ever. Obviously we were away last weekend, which took us into Monday, so really I didn't get going with any particular everything after emails and orders and everything till Wednesday on the building front, so I'm quite behind. That said, we've managed to get another 2 parts of the MIG done. Basically, what we've actually done with this one, we've used it as a sort of go back to basics. So as you know, we've gone around and we've done filling, rescribing and sanding and things like that. Really just showing how to get great seam lines and joins and things like that. You can probably see down on the underside here at the bottom of this wing area where it joins and with those things. We've got it almost seamless and everything down there just by going back a few steps and taking our time with it and sanding and filling and working our way through, and no real biggie. This time what we've done in these particular parts, we've gone around with the airbrushing and shown how we've done that. So part 6 and 7 are up there now. Part 6 shows, here they are, these fantastic metallizer paints that we've been using. Now these are absolutely stunning. They give a real metal look, and a lot of people think that's like a steel ring and not a piece of plastic. It's worked fantastic. It's great at leading edges as well, because you put them down hard as nails, buff them up, you get a great shine. You can buff them to the type of finish you want. So if you want it more of a dulled down with metallizer paint, you just don't buff it as hard and things like that. So anyway, we've gone along with that one. We've done pre-shading to show, obviously you can probably see on the bottom of this one, how pre-shading works, of how you get that sort of stain and shadowing effect showing through, right the way through to then we've gone on and we've talked about how to do this sort of mottly type effect to the underside by using different shades, so adding black and green and then lighter mottling effects right the way over, just to give it this sort of more worn look. And at the moment it's looking very shiny because obviously it's just been ready for the wash to go on, so it's over the top of the decals, it's had a gloss coat. But actually going on this top one and just changing the colours of the actual greens on there and everything else going through it. So that's parts 6 and 7 are up on the site now, which will bring you up to speed on that one and get you just about to that stage. And then in the next parts we're going to be talking about obviously decaling and weathering and everything else like that. Very close to finishing this one, to be honest. This one I will probably have it done by tomorrow because I've already done the gear, is all done. The weapons fit, which to be honest isn't going to have weapons, but it's going to have all the pylons, they're all done. The gear doors are all sorted out and everything else. So it really just needs the wash, bit of pigments over it to give it some scrub and to tone it down, things like that. And then obviously we can get it all together for final reveal. So the last 2 bits will probably be up next week. But I think it's going to be over 3 parts, but some special things coming out for Christmas anyway. So really great one on that, going through the camo as well. So if you want to do a sort of back to basics type thing, quite in depth though, that's the video to watch at the moment, to showing how we're doing all things like that. We've been sent a few things, which is very nice. The airbrush company got in touch with us last week and said about, you know, when was the last time I tried an Iwater? Because I do harp on obviously about using, seen just in camera shot here, the actual harder in Steambeck Evolution. And I said to them, quite honestly, quite a while, I used to have one a while ago, but I didn't like the way that you needed special tools to get it apart and everything else. So they said, let us send this one over to you. You can have a fiddle with it, play with it, and tell us what you think. So I'm going to be doing that this week with a proper in-depth review. And we've got an inbox review of this coming up shortly, a little bit later on in the show. I'm going to pull it apart and have a quick play with it and everything else like that. So thanks to them for that. We've got an in-depth review as well coming up about the actual Black Widow as well, so I'm going to get that one up on the bench a little bit later on and talk to you all about that kid as well. Forum news, let me just grab my notes here for that. Obviously the SIGs have all started now since we were away and things like that, and we've had some great turnout for them. We've got 19 builds already going on the go with the F-18 Hornet SIG build, some great ones there. We've got some nice big 132nd stuff right there down to 144 and some beautiful markings as well. A lot of the Tiger meats are coming through in the Canadian special ones and things like that. So that's lovely. So that's going to carry on between now and the 25th of March. So you've basically got just over 3 months to run on that one still. And then the Harrier SIG, great feedback on this one. Loads of people taking part in it with the Harrier SIG. That one's going to run until the 15th of April. And there again, we've got 1/24th scale Harriers on that one as well. So that's the big old stuff going through. The transport group build is ongoing at the moment. We've got 40 of you in there. Need to push through on this one, guys, because you know what's going to happen. You're going to, you know, we're over sort of coming up for halfway through this already. And then you've got until the 4th of April to whip these through, and because they tend to be bigger builds and everything else, then you're going to need to get on with that. Now I have a confession here at this point. Behind the camera there I have a Transall which is almost together, to be honest, but I don't know, it doesn't seem right to do justice to the kit, if I'm honest, because what I've actually done is just built it straight out of the box and bunged it all together. Haven't taken too much into it, but the thing is that kit has got some great detail, and I'm looking at it thinking I should do more to it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy another one and I'm going to do it again and use some of the previous parts I've recorded, videoed on this one as well, to bring you a more in-depth build of this kit, because the more I go on with this kit and the more detail it has on it, the more beautiful it would be to do it justice, to do it a more full-on kit. Because to be honest, the first three parts, and I've got this thing built, yeah, it's quite complicated to go together, but you don't see a lot of the detail. That's the only trouble with the kit. So I'm thinking if I was to open up the odd panel here and there and show off some of this lovely detail, it would be a lot better. So what I'm going to do is hold back that one for the moment, and then I'm going to really do it justice when we get into the new year and push on with it. I've still got a little surprise for you, because to be honest, that was going to be it. So I've had to do something else as well. So I've got a special build which will be done in time for Christmas. So I've still got a week to finish it now, and you're really going to enjoy this one. It's a lot of fun as well. So that's that one at the moment. So that's going to be my entry to the transport group build. A couple of people have emailed me about the prop thing on it. I know what you mean. You get a separate bag with it to bring it up to the NG version of the Transall, the C160. What it is, apparently, or so I'm informed, is that the starboard engine has a new prop, and then the port engine has the old. That hence why in the bag you only get one prop. That said, I know a lot of you have actually phoned up or spoken or emailed Revel and said to them you've only put one in, and they've turned around and said that's because what's in it, and have sent you another one as well. So if you wanted to put two new props on it, you could do. But that is why you only get one prop, and it's in the part number 181, I do remember, off the top of my head. That's why you only get it, because in reality the aircraft which come as the markings on the kit have only got the new prop on one engine. Don't ask me why, I confused myself a bit with that one. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, the other thing as well, Jelly has done a fantastic Dreamliner. Now, you might have seen this in a magazine somewhere, but he did this at the same time as on the site. Now, members, you would have seen this build somewhat on the site, but not in full. But now it is for the first time full to see on this. And he said it was a dream to go together, and it's a Dreamliner and everything else. And I can carry on with the puns all night if you like. I'm here all year. Okay, but the thing is, it is a beautiful kit. It goes together very, very well. And to see an airliner done nicely really speaks volumes as well. So it's a great one to see. He's done the full photo build of that, and that is below here if you're looking on the Flory model site, and if you're not, you're going to have to go to the Flory model site, click on the news page and it's down below, or click on photo builds and it is in there. So that's the thing for that one. So what we're going to do now is have a look at some airbrushes, and then after that we're going to have a look at the Black Widow kit. So okay, here we go, inbox review of the Iwata. Now, quick brief history is I used to have one of these, or very similar to this, about 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago now, and the thing is I loved it to bits and it did everything I needed it to do, okay, but what happened is one day was I broke off a part at the front. We've all done, it's a little nozzle air cap on the front system. You needed a little spanner to get it off, and I chewed it off trying to get it off. I didn't have time to have it sent back and sorted out and all the bits. I need an airbrush like tomorrow, so I went on the internet and I bought one of these, a Harder and Steenbeck airbrush. This one's 7 years old now, believe it or not, okay, and literally it's done everything I've needed ever since. And some of the problems I always have with the Iwata I had never had with the Harder and Steenbeck. But as we all know, time goes on and things change. So what's changed about the actual Iwata? Now obviously there's lots of different versions of these. They come in lots of different guises, okay? So we're just going to be talking about, this is the Iwata Eclipse HPCS, okay? Now, as we all know, Iwata is a Japanese company. They've famed for airbrushes over the decades now, literally. You know, a lot of people can remember their very first Iwata and everything else like that, okay? Now, the thing that's slightly different about this one to other ones that I've known is at the front here, you can do it finger tight, or you do get a big chunky spanner, okay? You can undo the front just like so, revealing the cap at the end. If we just bring you in nice and tight, you can see this cap now. If we just slide it off very gently, this is the difference. This part here used to be, he says, we're trying not to stab himself. Okay, let's feed it in. It used to be a little spanner you needed to put on this area and get it off, and this is what I used to round off and always have trouble with. Now this is what they call now a self-centering nozzle cap and all the rest of it, which does seem to do. Now what I'm just going to do for the moment is just pop the needle out the back. So we're just going to unscrew the rear, take the back and slip the needle out, purely because I want to keep the needle safe and I don't want to stab myself. Okay, so this part at the front here, as I said, normally you needed a tool. Now you don't. Now this was always the bugbear for me using Iwata airbrushes, that you needed tools to get them apart. And okay, yes, the little nozzle cap here does come with a spanner, but I'm pretty sure it's no tighter to get that undone, because it's quite something you can get hold of, than it would be anybody else's airbrush. Okay, so you can now undo that to get to the working parts of the actual airbrush, and it really is quite nice. It's very nicely designed, everything else. The hole you got at the bottom here, this is where your air comes in, and then it'll draw it along the needle, and then obviously out to atomize on the end of the needle your paint. So really what I'm going to do now is have a quick run through between the difference between this one and obviously the one that I use, and perhaps the one you're more familiar with. So what we're going to do for the moment, we're just going to pop the needle in and we can go through the different things. So very carefully, just pop the needle in the back. So okay, this is a comparable to something like the actual Evolution 2-in-1, or basically the same type of setup you get with that, your actual Evolution. They're both double action, so by double action we mean basically you're going to push down for air and you pull back for paint. Okay, we've got no specific settings down the back here for making any changes or locking off the actual spray pattern and all those things you can have perhaps on more expensive airbrushes. Okay, the needle size, the standard needle fit here for the Evolution is a 0.2mm, yet the standard fit here for the actual the Eclipse is a 0.35, so it is a slightly bigger needle. Does that make a difference? Depends on what you're spraying. If you're doing things very small, obviously the 0.2 I maintain will do basically just about anything. Okay, whereas the 0.35 a little bit thicker perhaps, but apart from that, that's your only difference. Stripping and cleaning is exactly the same with both airbrushes. If we just quickly whip through those, so you would just undo the rear collar, undo the collar at the back, slide the needle out, just gives you the end out the back here. You've got on the front, you've actually got here your two parts now. So you've got your end cap with your protector, your diffuser, your end cap and your actual airbrush like so. So we just do that with the needle. Compare it to our usual one here. We've got the Evolution, so exactly the same. The back comes off the back, exactly the same. Needle just out the rear. And then on the front, we've actually got the main body part. And then again, we've got air cap and collar. So really, there isn't a lot of difference between the two, just looking at them like that. Other external differences is, just out the box, is you do get a top for your colour cup on the top of actually the Eclipse, which is a nice touch, because if you do put them down, things like that, then you're okay. Just remember, make sure your air hole is open at the top. Put something through it occasionally. If you get dry paint up there, it's an airtight seal. It means it won't siphon down and won't gravity feed on there, and that's where a lot of people get trouble with. Whereas you can have it for the harder and steam back, but unfortunately it's an optional extra. It's going to cost you about 10 quid for that cap to go on the top. The only thing is, with the Iwata, it's welded on. You can't take this part off. You are stuck now with that part colour cup on there, which is probably like a 5mm colour cup. Whereas the harder and Steenbeck one, you can unscrew, okay, and it comes with two, and you have your second one here, which just pops in the top. If you want a 2mm, it goes on there like that. Right the way up to, you can have a 40mm, you know, doll's house spraying, things like that, spray your front door, whatever you want to do with it, your car. Does come with a big one as well, which is quite a nice touch. So you do get more of a versatile type area with that. Breaking down the airbrush a little bit more, so here we go. If we do it with, we just move these down a little bit, with the Iwata here, same thing. You basically got a collar at the back system, will retract the workings of the inside part. Okay, so you've got your cylinder, and then part on the back here, which just comes out just like this. Whereas we can do just the same with the harder and Steenbeck. Just going to come out the back here. And then obviously we've got triggers, and we should have a trigger. Trigger setup is slightly different between the two. You've got this one down here is on a little bit of a springy thing here, whereas we got the arc on the back. Okay, but there again, no problems with getting them apart. They go to come apart just the same as anybody else's. So really, really straightforward for taking them apart, putting them together. What we're going to do now is get some paint sorted out and have a bit of a play. So okay, we've got them both fixed with quick release hoses on here, so we can just pop one in. So if we just have an air test first. Okay, for this purpose, we've got this set to around about 25 psi, so we have a listen test. Very nice. That's our standard Evo we do everything with. So now let's just plug in the, so we're not touched. As immediately you can hear, this one's got a lot more bite to it, okay? That will come off a minute. As you can hear the difference, and also the forceful of the air. Now what that actually is the needle size. That's the difference. The needle size, only being 1.5 mil, is the amount of stuff that's coming through. So obviously that is quite a fundamental difference. So obviously what you need to do when you're shooting, obviously something like this one, turn your air pressure a lot lower. Now if you've got a sort of, you know, a small little gauge here, you can have an inline one fitted onto your actual airbrush. You can just turn it down just a tad, or just go down to your regulator and turn it down. So what we're going to do now is just put some airbrush cleaner through it, because it's the first time this thing's ever been used. Okay, and we just grab ourselves an old cloth here. We're just going to blow it into this and just see how quickly I can lose about 1 milliliter in here. So it's going down, gone. That's how quick that will expel a mil. So we just do the same again. Just see. See, there's probably not that much in it, you know, when you're just trying to blow it through like that. But it just gives you an idea of the difference of nozzle size, actually what it will actually do. So if we just grab a little bit of, protect the old work desk here. What we're going to do, we've got an old wing here. We are just going to have a bit of a play and see what we actually get. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make up in a clean pot, just here, just some black. Now I'm using black purely because we can see what it is. Okay, so all we're going to do is just going to stick in a colour cup, a couple of mil, a bit more, just in there. And what I'm going to do is my standard sort of 50-50 mix between paints and thinners. Just like that. Then what we do with the brush, always the way, just put my brush down now, there it is. This is my mixing brush. So we just give these a good old mix up together. So all this is Tamiya paint, a Tamiya acrylics, just with black. Now the reason for doing it in the colour cup is so nobody can say that there's differences as it goes into the actual, that I mixed up in the airbrush itself. So whilst I've got this one plugged in, this is the harder and steam back, so I'm just going to put a tiny bit in the end there. Try it on the paper first, just down. Very nice. Squirrely pattern just like that. Alright, and then what we do, we just stick that over in the holder. Popping in the water. Quick clean up around the outside. Okay, first time I've ever used one of these in so many years. So okay, no difference particularly between the two whatsoever. Okay, if anything, I have to say the Iwata is a little bit sharper because the needle drawback is a little bit firmer than the actually is for the harder and Steenbeck. The harder and Steenbeck, it's easier to go over the top. This one gives you a little bit more grip, a little bit more bite coming in, which is quite nice. But obviously it depends on how you're painting, how much you're pulling back and everything else like that. So what we're going to do now, we're going to just try a general coverage on a bit of wing here. So we're just going to come down. I'm just going to spray in this wing. Very nice, cut to air, just dry it down as I would anything else I do. Very nice indeed. So now what we're going to do is just try a few little lines. if we were doing pre-shading or something like that. And there we go, very, very nice, no problem at all, quite like that, I must admit. Okay, we'll just change back now to the Harder in Steenbeck. Now I have to say, in the Harder in Steenbecks, let's turn up the air pressure a little bit for this one. In its defence, I am probably got one that's got like a 2-year-old needle in it and 2-year-old needle cap. So the thing is, it's not going to be as pin sharp as a brand new one, but you'd expect it to be on par with. So we're just going to try general coverage again. To air, dry off, back in there. You know, to be honest, I'm used to using this one as well, so it does give me a slight unfair advantage. And there we go. Pretty much nothing in it between the two. You know, I must admit, come out very, very nicely. Obviously, this is just literally a real quick test. You know, this isn't supposed to be, you know, going forever and things like that. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to literally cover over the second half. Can't remember who's here now. So we just use up the paint as if it's a quick spray. Here, there we go, used up the paint. So what I'm going to do now, unplug that, just leave that to one side. Okay, maximum paint flow on this one. And that is full paint coming out. And we've gone through the colour cup again. So to be honest, as far as a paint test goes, and different sizes of needle and everything else like that, I have to say there's nothing in it between the two. And the next thing is I want to do is basically a clean test. How easy is it clean to do it out? So you finish your spray work, everything else, everybody knows how to do mine. I just do it this way. In goes the airbrush cleaner. And then we just take our brush and we just give it a white brown the outside in here. Down into the needle area. We just blow it in here. Just blow it through. Quick wipe around on the inside. And there we go. We're as good as new, as good as clean. Just like that. If we did want to clean off the needle and things, we're not going to retract it all the way back, we just pulled it back a little bit so we can get to the front end. Again, it's a nice piece, it's quite a large area. We can just drop in there, running through, and drain through. Needle in the hole. Needle back down, seat it down again, back's on nice and tight, end on there. Just put a little needle guard on the front, which is a nice wide needle guard. We are fine, good to go. My only slight thing was, if you look down in the bottom, you can see like a black ring. You don't tend to get that on, I say you won't be able to see it in here, it's like with paint, let me just show you quickly. You don't tend to get it. This is the one down inside there. It's actually slid down. There's no right angles down in the bottom chamber of the Harder in Steenbecks. It tends to be like a swoosh, for want of a better word, down in there. So I must admit it's very nice. So there we go. This has literally just been a quick 10-minute test on how it works and everything else. Do I like it? Yes, I do. I'll be totally honest. It is a very nice airbrush. It does exactly the same as the Evolution does. Now it's got this new free-floating, self-centering, whatever you call it, end cap in there. It's lovely. You don't need the specialist tools to get it all apart. And to be honest, getting parts for Iwata are a lot easier, especially if you do go to the airbrush company. They've got this brilliant system where you go to a blow-up diagram and you can buy off of the blow-up diagram exactly what parts you need. So if you need a needle, a ring and things like that. Now obviously I haven't taken this complete apart to find out what parts are in absolutely everything in here, but I've looked at the exploded diagram on it. It looks pretty straightforward. It doesn't look any different really to the Harder and Steenbeck one. So on this quick test, I have to say, if you are in the market for an equivalent to a Harder and Steenbeck, then really you couldn't go any really pretty much wrong with an HPCS. Okay, for our second review this week, we have, this is the Black Widow. Now this is Great Wall Hobbies. Probably not known to many of you. They've done a few kits recently, a little bit off the wall, something a little bit different. Black Widow, probably well known. Revell did this kit before. Usually you think of it of having the top gun on the top. This is the predecessor to this. This is the A version, which is just the standard ground attack fighter aircraft. Okay, now the kit itself comes in a very nice box. Great artwork on the cover. Here we have the instructions inside. So usual thing, we've got a little bit about the aircraft itself. And then working through, looking at the instructions, you've got call out. We've got multiple bits of photo etch, which are going to go on here right the way through. Pretty nice instructions, nice and clear. Nice that they're in colour as well. So you've got call outs for all the different areas. Sorry about the camera glare there. Going through, so very nice as you can see. And then obviously you've got your references. So we've got the famous sort of Black Widow colours if you want to do it in the black, or there should be a green version in here with the Normandy D-Day markings underneath. So quite a nice touch. Straight away you're confronted by a corrections sheet which has got some nice corrections on there. We've got a little tiny piece of resin up here which is for the gun sight, which sort of quite easily explained, but obviously we've got some differences in opinion between this and the actual instructions, hence the thing. But it's nice to see that they found a fault with it, and there is a problem, like pointing out to put nose weight in it, which will be quite a must on one of these. When you've got the tri-gear system like that, normally you have to pack them well full of lead, and it does say about adding nose wheel weight. So what have you actually got in the box? We've got some very nicely packaged, because they're in very strong, firm bags. So it's not your normal plastic, these are more like cellophane. So just pop one of those off and have a look of what we get. And this is the first time I've had the kit out to actually have a look at it. I'm looking around, so I've got no obvious flash, there's no obvious release agent all over the kit, which is nice. Recessed panel lines, and we've got nice riveting detail with circular rivets, as well as sort of your normal pin riveting, everything else like that. We've got no signs, sometimes you get two moulds together and mould marks like that. Crisp on the inside. Ejector pin marks are very light, which is a nice touch. So if we just make our way through, again, we've got no signs of flash, everything else, this is for the tails, twin boom tail on those. Again, very nice, I've got no sign of anything at all. Instrument panel, quite a basic, but I think there is a photo etch part, if I'm correct, for this particular one. No, I'm lying, there isn't. So it's going to be decals on there. But as I said, again, quite nicely done. Clear sprue, lovely clear parts. No sign of visible warpage. They look very nice and clear in the bag, so that's a nice little touch. Again, looking at it, nice detail on these guns. We've got the actual guns there that are going to go in the nose and everything else. We've got a little bit of hollowing out with the exhausts as well as they come out, and some great detail. Very nicely done. Wings are always a good one to look at. So we've got bottoms of the wings there, look very nice. So do the tops. The tops themselves have a photo etch part that I'll show you in a moment that are going to go on those, which is quite a nice touch as well for the dive brakes on it. More engine parts. So we've got the ones here for two open, two closed. Makes sense as well for the cowl flaps for the actual engine as well. The all famous, everyone speaks about this, a nose cone which is inside a protective piece of plastic that keeps it nice and everything else like that. The thing is, with this particular one, it's painted, so it's not clear, okay, and you've still got a seam line in it you're going to have to polish out, but it is in one piece, so you know, better than nothing, I should say. Again, more of the cockpit detail. The flooring looks nice, everything else like that. Got a couple of ejector pin marks, but only a handful, which may need a little bit, but they are very, very shallow as well, which are on things like doors and bulkheads and things like that. But there again, as I said, they are very nice and shallow, so we're not too worried about that. The nice thing you get in here, we've actually got a photo etched fret. I have to put it at an angle so you don't get blinded by it, for obviously all the engine work and everything else. These are the dive brake ones we were talking about, and we've got harnesses as well as radiators as well. We've got a thin piece of styrene strip in there. In here we have, or should have, there we go, trying to keep it flat as possible because obviously we've got photo etch in there and we don't want to bend it. We actually have the decals, so you've got any combination you like there. You can basically call this anything you like, but you do have these other one, which is quite nice. Then I think that will be a mask set we have in here. Trying to get them roughly out. Come on, you come. No, forget the mask set. It's just the paper for covering the actual parts. But there again, let's have a look at, see the registry. Pretty nice, everything seems to be in register. Obviously it's a bit tricky to tell just by looking at them on like this, but there again, it does look nice. The other nice touch you get in the box, you get a very nice print of the box art poster as well, so you could frame that and that would look very nice on your hobby room wall. So what's going to happen with this kit, I hear you ask? Yes, we will be making it. I will be doing it, okay? We're going to be cracking on with this one in the new year. And funny enough, we're going to be using some different types of paints on this one. We're also going to be using a water airbrush right the way through this entire build and seeing how we get on with it, so we can really put it under a fair test to see how it compares with our usual builds and everything else like that. Okay, so there you go. That's airbrushing and Black Widow kit. Big thank you to the airbrush company for helping us out with those things and supplying us those to go through it. We're going to do a lot more with those in the future, as you can probably tell. Big new show next week. It should be an hour long, hopefully, if it all goes to part, so you're going to enjoy that one. There's a few festivities and things like that, a few bloopers from when things go horrendously wrong here and everything else. And then the weekend after, it'll be on the Friday, so it'll be the day before the eve of New Year's Eve. We're going to have the actual look back over the entire year and everything else. And also, as I said, I've got something a little bit special for you next weekend anyway. So everybody, have a great weekend. Get your last of your Christmas shopping done. I hope it's not snowing where you are. Funny enough, here it's not, although it's just raining, which is lovely. Until then, everyone, happy modelling, take care, and I'll see you next week.